London Airport, please.
On flight SA-217 for Frankfurt, Rome, Khartoum, Nairobi, Salisbury, and Johannesburg. Would you please take leave of your friends, have your passports ready, and follow the green light to customs and immigration. Will you please have your seating cards ready in order to board the aircraft?
This is Springbok 217, standing by for clearance.
Springbok 217, you are cleared by Amber 2 Airway to Epsom, Dunsford and Seapost. You are cleared for immediate takeoff.
Here we go. Away at last from routine. Relaxed, and yet excited at the thought of the long flight ahead. Skipper tells me we're crossing the Alps. I've spent many holidays in Switzerland. Now, towering above you, the Alps are wonderful. Seen this way, they're magnificent. Now we're across Mont Blanc. My journey south is really beginning. A business and pleasure flight this, which will take me down across the equator right to the other end of Africa. And as we come into land, glimpses of Rome. There's St. Peter's. Don't let anyone persuade you that airports are dull. Each airport conveys a subtle flavor of the city it serves. And Ciampino Airport is Rome. And the smell of the food at Ciampino is Italy. One mouthful and you feel the Italians love good food and know how to serve it.
DC-7B, flight 217 from London.
I must have a souvenir of Italy. I rather like a sort of gondola music box affair. But buying it turns out to be no ordinary transaction. It's a gay social event with everybody joining in the fun.
Tanto per agevolare, cercare di vendere, agevolare la vendita.
9,000 left, sir.
Time to spare, do try and spend a few days in Rome on the way south. The elegance, the tradition of the Via Veneto make the perfect contrast to the new world waiting for you below the equator. A tantalizing glimpse of Capri as we head south again, but Capri must wait for another holiday. By morning, we've traveled some 3,000 miles, over the Mediterranean, across the vast desert wastes of North Africa, and here we are near the equator, all in a night's work. Flying nowadays just takes it for granted. Yes, these glaciers lead up to the twin peaks of Mount Kenya, 17,000 feet high. It's quite a paradox, snow on the equator. And here, not very long afterwards, the beautiful symmetry of Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest peak. See the volcanic craters? these airlines manage to conjure up such an attractive meal in mid-air, it always comes as a pleasant surprise to me. Luncheon is served at 19,000 feet, skimming the cloud tops somewhere over darkest Africa. Time and space mean so little, or so it seems to me as we approach Johannesburg. Below us, the great golden mine dumps of this fabulous reef. No wonder this city has the reputation of being built on gold. This is the high-felt home of 1 million people. And 70 short, hectic years ago, it didn't even exist.
217 to Jan Smuts. Your approach and landing instructions, please. Over.
Springbok 217. You are clear to land. Over.
Johannesburg is my destination for business. What a splendidly alert, business-like place it is. Perhaps it's the altitude and the clear, sparkling air that makes me step out so briskly. I feel that tying up new contracts is going to be no trouble at all. Indeed, I do get the business side over far sooner than I'd expected. Now, one of those sudden changes so typical of Africa. Less than 300 miles from this super-civilized metropolis, and you're in the untamed heart of the Kreuger National Park. I find it a little startling. I don't know how I hold the camera steady. Here we are, traveling in a modern car on a reasonably good road, but we really are in the heart of Africa. Around us, the bush with all its inmates. Mind you, they're not always so easy to pick out while they stand still. Even the giraffe is quite splendidly camouflaged until he decides to cross the road. In the rest camps, right in the middle of the 200-mile-long reserve, life is friendly and informal. The young daughter of this family has more or less adopted me and becomes a most enthusiastic camera assistant. She's quite made up her mind that she'll bring me some special luck in the way of lion pictures. So off we go again in search of them. Hippo pools, one part of the Kreuger National Park where you don't have to stay in your car. What a life, just one long soak. The smaller game react instinctively to danger, and danger's never very far away. For me, this sleek, rather shy leopard is the epitome of the fierce beauty of this land. Much more so than the lions, which I photographed later at close range near the Skukuza rest camp. They seemed quite unconcerned about the visitors. In the end, it's this lion cub that gives me my prize shot. He remains still just long enough to make the best picture in my collection. After the Kreuger Park, another transformation scene. This time it's Durban, for the biggest and richest meeting on the South African racing calendar. That was the July handicap, all excitement and noise. It's subtropical here, difficult to appreciate that this warm July is midwinter. At this time of year, the fashionable crowds flock down from the cool Highveld to enjoy the Natal Coast at its best. The rather lazy atmosphere appeals to my holiday mood. They call it Natal fever. The warm, lively Indian Ocean makes this a natural resort. Surfing in Durban isn't the only rather unorthodox means of transport. Here are the Zulu rickshaw boys, prancing in their beads and gay feathers for the annual parade. Talking of transport, one of the things that amazes me about South Africa is the excellence of the roads. I don't know how they do it with such a small population. Even these country roads have their compensation. Visiting Swaziland with a friend, I find both color and surprise. Here's a rather unusual brand of Swazi shampoo. But this is no ordinary Friday night wash and brush up. These girls are preparing for a very special occasion, the ceremonial reed dance. Once a year in late winter, the teenage girls of the tribes get together and cut long reeds for the Queen Mother's kraal. As the dusky debutantes form up in large groups, my friend explains that the reeds will be used to build up a new high screen to keep the wind out of the royal kraal. There must be about 400 young ladies in this African version of the Queen Charlotte's ball. Each waits for the moment when she can parade before the elders. No curtsies here, but gales of giggles as they deliver their contributions. Then on with the dance. It's all very wild and woolly and exciting. As I wind off the Swaziland spool, I know I've got some fine studies. But of all, yes, this one will always be the essence of Swaziland. If there's one thing I like as much as photography, it's fishing. Ever since I heard stories of the big game fish of the Cape, I've been planning for this moment. A young friend of mine who lives near Cape Town has offered to take me out. I could have spent just hours and hours doing precisely nothing in the shade of this gracious old wine farm. But I'm all set now to fish and to catch something bigger than a salmon. The size of the launch makes me realize that my friends take their hobby very seriously. Deep-sea fishing off the Cape can be heavy going. The early mariners called it the Cape of Storms. But it's reassuring that someone, I should think a fisherman, renamed it the Cape of Good Hope. From the calm of Table Bay, the mountains and the seaside suburbs look very appealing. Down the long finger of the peninsula, we continue south until we reach and pass the point. Now we're headed into the deep blue South Atlantic. Normally, I can't stand music at sea, but somehow our Malay boatman keeps in full harmony with the day itself.
Let's get the lines in, quickly. Big one, too.
This is the moment I've been waiting for. As if hooking a tunny isn't enough, a shoal of great fish, giant porpoises I think they are, leap in amongst the tunny. Monsters of 1,000 pounds or more. Twice my fish sounds, and twice the nylon screams out. Twice I haul him in and we get to grips. How long it takes I don't know, but at last he gives up. There's no struggle left in him.
Announced the arrival of their flight SA 214.
At London Airport, the customs man takes it all in his stride. I suppose he's seen it all before. Still, it's decent of him not to tell me so.